Have you ever watched your whole world burn down? Not in a blaze of fire, but in the cold, sterile glow of a computer screen? I was sitting in my home office on a Tuesday, the kind of forgettable Chicago night where the wind howls off Lake Michigan and rattles the windows of our Lincoln Park brownstone. It was 2:17 a.m. My wife Sarah was asleep upstairs, looking like an angel, completely unaware that I was 3 clicks away from obliterating our lives. The email wasn't addressed to me. It was a forwarded receipt confirmation, buried in her drafts folder for a legal service. My heart hammered against my ribs as I read the subject line, "Adoption petition final payment." It wasn't the adoption that made my blood run cold. It was the name of the child's father listed on the attached document, Mark, her boss. And I knew with a certainty that settled in my bones like a terminal illness that this was the beginning of the end. If you genuinely enjoy our stories, please subscribe to the channel. Tell us where you're from and what time it is right now. It's always fascinating to know how far our story flows. For 10 years, Sarah was my everything. We were the couple everyone envied, the perfect house, the successful careers, the kind of love you see in movies. I was a partner at an architecture firm. She was a rising star in marketing. I thought we were building an empire together, brick by brick, but I was the only one laying the foundation. The humiliation started subtly. It was in the way she laughed a little too loudly at Mark S. jokes during company dinners at Gibson S Bar and Steakhouse on Rush Street. It was the casual, lingering touches on his arm that she'd dismiss as just being friendly. Our friends saw it. I saw them exchange glances, felt their pity like a physical weight, a hot shame that crawled up my neck. I'd defend her, of course. She's just ambitious, I'd say, the words tasting like ash in my mouth. Her behavior grew stranger. Her phone, once left carelessly on the kitchen counter, was now permanently attached to her hand, screen down. She started working late, blaming deadlines and new projects. "Mark is really pushing the team hard," she'd sigh, collapsing onto the bed fully dressed, too tired for me. The coldness was the worst part. The woman who used to wrap her arms around me the second I walked through the door now barely looked up. Her affection was replaced by a chilling sort of evaluation, as if she were constantly measuring me against someone else and finding me lacking. She became a master of manipulation, twisting my concerns into accusations. "Why are you so insecure?" she'd snap. "Do you not trust me?" After everything we've been through, she made me feel like the villain for simply asking for the truth. The villains, Sarah and Mark, felt untouchable. They'd walk into meetings together, sharing a private smile that felt like a knife in my gut. It was everything I wasn't: slick, ostentatiously wealthy, with a smug confidence that bordered on arrogance. They were a team, and I was the inconvenient obstacle. The emotional break happened one night when I found a receipt from the Peninsula Hotel tucked into her glove compartment. It was for a couple's massage, dated on a day she told me she was at an all-day conference in Rosemont. I drove to a parking garage overlooking the Chicago River, the city lights blurring through my tears. The loyalty I had guarded for a decade shattered into a million pieces. I wasn't just heartbroken, I was hollowed out. That night, sitting in the cold silence of my car, the architect in me died, and a demolitions expert was born. My grief turned into a cold, calculated fury. I hired a private investigator, a grizzled ex-cop, who operated out of a dusty office in the Loop. For 2 months, he was my shadow, gathering the proof I needed. Photos of them kissing in the lobby of his Gold Coast apartment building. Credit card statements detailing lavish dinners I was uninvited to and weekend trips I didn't know about. But the real bomb was the one I found myself: the adoption papers. Mark was divorced with a young son. Sarah, my Sarah, who had always claimed she wasn't ready for children with me, was trying to legally become a mother to his kid. She wasn't just replacing me. She's replacing the future we were supposed to build. I began setting the traps. Legally, I moved our shared assets into a trust that she couldn't touch without my signature, citing a fake tax audit as the reason. Socially, I planned my revenge for the annual company gala, the very stage where she and Mark loved to perform their little show. It was her biggest night of the year, where she was set to receive a major award. Her parents flew in from Miami, her friends were there, and the entire executive board was in attendance. She stood on that stage, radiant in a glittering gown, holding her award and thanking her incredible mentor Mark for his unwavering support. She looked at him with a love she hadn't shown me in years.
Wow.
When she finished her speech, I walked to the podium. The event coordinator tried to stop me, but I just smiled and said, "I just want to say a few words about my amazing wife." The room quieted. Sarah beamed at me, a perfect portrait of innocence. I looked out at the crowd, at her parents, at her colleagues. "I've always admired Sarah's dedication," I began, my voice steady. "Her dedication to her career and to her new family." A confused murmur went through the room. Sarah's smile faltered. "In fact," I continued, pulling a document from my jacket pocket, "I was so moved when I accidentally found the adoption papers for Mark's son. It takes a special kind of woman to step up and become a mother, especially when you've been telling your husband for years that you're not ready for kids." The silence was absolute. Then, a gasp from her mother. I turned to Sarah, whose face was a mask of pure horror, her skin ashen. "So I just wanted to congratulate you both. And to let you know, Sarah, that our lawyer will be serving you divorce papers tomorrow. The house is in a trust, by the way." Then I looked directly at Mark, whose smug expression had dissolved into panic. "And Mark, my investigator, got some lovely photos of you too. I'm sure your ex-wife's attorney will find them very interesting, considering the morality clause in your divorce settlement. She didn't just cry, she screamed, a raw, guttural sound of total ruin that echoed through the grand ballroom as I placed the adoption paper on the podium and walked off the stage without looking back. Now, my life is quiet. The brownstone is sold. I live in a minimalist apartment downtown with a view of the endless gray lake. Sometimes I hear things that she lost her job, that her parents won't speak to her, that Mark's wife took him for everything he was worth. I don't feel joy or satisfaction. I just feel empty. The architect is gone. The demolitions expert is gone. And all that's left is the silence where a home used to be. The end.